All right, there we are. So I tried to get this to look a little professional. Not really good at like the graphics and all of that stuff, but want to thank everybody that's watching. Um, bear with me if you can as I look to find Joe Biden news. Let me see. Let me go here. President Joe Biden. So Joe Biden did drop out of the race. We knew that. We knew that already. Um so there are a lot of things to discuss, a lot of things to talk about. I checked. So I have the app open or apps open for me to check news and things of that sort, to see if something happens while we're on and rocking. One thing I want to talk about is I guess I need for you to understand who I am as a person so that you'll understand my leanings and wanings, right? So I am a Christian conservative, liberal, at times independent thinking black man living in the South, but am originally from the North. So a lot of things that I say will maybe conflict people at times, or have you not understanding where I'm coming from at times. But as individuals, I think we're all individually, I think we're all different. And I guess that's what makes us individuals, right? But I want to talk about Joe Biden briefly, President Joe Biden briefly, and then I want to talk about Donald Trump briefly, and then I want to talk about Kamala Harris briefly, and then I want to hear from you guys. Right, so I want to hear from you guys also. Um, President Joe Biden looks to me right now, and this is not me picking on an old man or anything like that, but Joe Biden looks to me like he's weak and feeble. Right? Not that his administration is weak and feeble. Not that his administration is weak and feeble, but he physically looks weak and feeble. The um the address that he gave the other day, I legit had a sense of not being safe. That's not a feeling I want to have as an American citizen. As an American citizen, I want to feel protected at all times, right? That's my feeling. That's my sense. Do I respect Joe Biden and what he's done in his career? Absolutely, I do. And I respect President Joe Biden for everything he's done for the country. Um, I respect him from for everything that all the places he helped us get to as a nation. Now, him walking away from the race, I have mixed feelings about it. So for one, I think it's admirable that he understands that he might not be best for the country going forward. I think that's admirable. Two, I'm confused to why the timeline was not sped up on this decision making. And it makes me question all of the decision making. Like, is he really this pragmatic with every decision that he made? Because if he was pragmatic about this decision, what other decisions did he move cautiously toward? Is the country in a better place now in the middle of July with an election coming up in November? Do we feel like we get the best presidential race going now, seeing that Joe Biden chose yesterday to officially not run for reelection? Are we in a better place? It feels like it, but just like with a lot of new stuff, it feels as if now there is a egg scramble or a scramble to, you know, get put your best foot forward if you're the Democratic Party, and put your best foot forward if you're the Republican Party, right? Because for years, the election, we thought the race would be Joe Biden versus current President Joe Biden versus former President Donald Trump. That's what we thought the race was going to be. And right now it feels like soap operas, right? 2 weeks ago, or was it last week? Let me say shortly ago, there was an assassination on former President Donald Trump's life, an assassination attempt. And then yesterday, the current president, Joe Biden, drops out of the race for president of the 47th president of the United States. So there are some dramatic things going on here. An assassination attempt, a candidate dropping out of the race. So there are some things happening here that if you're a everyday Joe like myself, where you question all the things that are happening and not question it in a sense that we don't understand the things that's happening. Maybe we're questioning why these things are happening. Why are these things happening? Has us in a weird place. An assassination attempt on a former president of the United States, that's beyond bizarre, right? And then the current president of the United States with less than 200 days to a general election drops out of the presidential race. That's beyond bizarre. The timing of it is not ordinary. Hmm. I honestly feel as if I honestly feel as if the country is headed to a weird and uh, different place. And I'm not for sure if the country is being dragged to that place or being pushed to that place. And I know that sounds weird, right? Like, are we being pushed to a certain place or being pulled to a certain place? I think it's a mix of both. In my mind, I feel like the little guy always loses. The little guy always loses, right? It don't matter how passionate you are about your party, whether you're Democrat or Republican. It doesn't matter how you feel about your party. If you're a little guy, you lose. If you're a little guy, you don't win. Rich people win, right? And I don't mean rich like the guys that you see. Like, you might know a millionaire, they're not rich. Millionaires are not rich in today's society. You might know somebody worth $10 million. Maybe it's your boss. $10 million in today's, that's nothing nowadays. Now, is it $10 million to you? Absolutely. Is it $10 million? Is $10 million something to me? Absolutely. But we're talking about people that are beyond. We're talking about people that are getting that look to get. These people don't pay taxes like they should. You get taxed on everything. Your paycheck is getting taxed. Every time you go to the grocery store, you're getting taxed. You're going to pay property taxes, car tax, everything. You're going to pay taxes on everything. But do rich people pay taxes at the same rate that you and I may pay taxes? Absolutely not. We know that. They'll get tax breaks for everything. You get tax breaks for nothing, maybe nothing. And I feel like the divide between you, the person that's watching right now, you and I, the people that are watching right now, right? The people that are watching right now and the ultra wealthy, that gap is growing every year. They have so much wealth and influence that it goes beyond what they could spend in 4 or 5 lifetimes. And you and I are basically, and I'm speaking to my audience. Like, I figure my audience is those that work every day, 9 to 5ers, everyday Joe. Um, um, maybe have a little money stashed away for a rainy day. Not maybe you have a working retirement account. Maybe you have a savings account with a couple of thousand, a few $1,000s in it in a savings account. But you're definitely working on a paycheck that comes on Friday or Thursday or whenever you get paid. Your first and 15th, your 15th and 30th, whatever pay period you go by. But I feel like the wealth gap in this country is not one of those wealth gaps that is a wealth gap of fairness. Am I looking to just wake up one day and be wealthy? I think that might be. Am I expecting to wake up one day and be wealthy? No. I expect to work every day, put my hours in, do like what most people, the 300 plus million people in this country. Um, um, I guess it depends on who you ask if it's 300 million in this country or not. But like most people, go to work every day. You come home. You spend quality time with your family. You instill family values, core values. You try to be a good person, try to be a good neighbor, try to be productive to society, try to give something back and not just take stuff away. I feel like those people lose in events like what we have here recently, a failed assassination attempt and a sitting president um, dropping out of a presidential race. I think people like us lose because what happens is in the race for power, the people that are obsessed with power, they never get over their obsession for power. The thing about power is the more you get, the more you want, right? Like for instance, somebody runs for student body president, right? And say in high school, and then they run for student body president in college. And then they maybe run for a city council seat, and then a county council seat, then state representative. And then this path, they stay on this path, the more power they get, the more they want. And before you know it, that person is saying, my fellow Americans, because the path to power is one that's insatiable. And thus you get failed assassination attempts, thank goodness, and Democrats putting pressure on sitting president to drop out of the race because they feel like he can't win. And where does that leave you? That leaves you in a situation where the price of groceries are gonna continue to increase. The price of things that you need on a daily, healthcare is going to continue to increase. Gas, a lot of stuff, things just continue to increase. At the same time, your quality of life is being shaved away. The government is making decisions for you. Now you're talking about the decisions that you would make on your own for your and with your own safety, like being pro-choice. Now, being pro-choice is not even a decision that women can make to protect themselves and their bodies. Being pro-life and being pro-choice, and I understand that there are certain lines in the sand. There are certain lines in the sand that people don't want to cross or will cross based on their passions and what they believe in. But as a believer in liberty and liberties, I feel like none of this should ever be compromised. We live in a country that we if you abide by the law of the land, if you go to work every day, if you contribute to society, you should be able to make your own decisions. You should be able to make your own decisions and not have topics forced upon you. Choices. What happens is when people in power start taking choices away from you, they never stop. It never stops. And I understand that there are a sect of Americans, our neighbors, our friends, our coworkers, that feel as if that's what they want. They want one person in charge to rule everything. That's what they want. That's what they want. I'm not here to argue their feelings. Whatever they feel like they want, go with it. If that's what you believe. I am in the camp of liberty. You should feel safe. Your family should feel safe. You should be able to vote and vote for who you want to occupy these offices. So the President Joe Biden thing has me flummoxed and frustrated at the same time. I think if you're the Democratic National Convention, you have to have a runoff. I don't think you should anoint or appoint anyone. Let the best man or woman win, and whoever that person is, even if it is Kamala Harris, even if it is Kamala Harris, I think she should consider having it be an open competition. Have it be an open competition and have the DNC show that she is unilaterally their person. And why not? What does it hurt? What does it hurt Kamala Harris to be in an open competition and win? You know what that proves to the world? It proves that she can win. It proves that she can win. It proves unity and strength. It'll prove that minorities don't have to have things given to them. I don't think minorities have to have things given to them in order for them to succeed. I don't. I don't. But by Kamala Harris winning at the DNC, that proves to the world that she can win. That's important. I think Kamala Harris going into an election with Donald Trump with something given to her only reinforces the stereotypes that women aren't strong enough to do things on their own. I don't think that's the message that you want to send to the world, that a biracial woman was given something and that's why she's here. That's not the message you want to send to the world. That's not the message you want to send to your voters. I was given this thing by a older white man, and that's why I'm here. That's not the message you want to send to the world. The message you want to send to the world is I can win. I earned it. The messages shouldn't be an older white gentleman paved the way for a biracial woman, a mixed woman, and that's how she got here. That shouldn't be the message that's sent. The message that Kamala Harris needs to send is that she earned her way here and she's here to win. If you're a Republican right now, I kind of feel like you're in a strange place. I feel like you're in a strange place because the Republican Party has morphed over the years. It's not the traditional Republican Party, but everything evolves. Everything evolves, right? So I'm not pointing a finger at a Republican or the Republican Party. I do understand though that the Republican Party had a strategy of Trump versus Biden. And now it's Trump versus whoever the Democratic National Convention um, um, presents as their candidate for president of the United States. I do understand that, and I understand preparing for one thing and getting something else is two different things. So I understand. I understand. I understand that. But at the end of the day, both sides should be talking about policy and track record. Policy and track record and not mudslinging. Because if you built your entire campaign on mudslinging and now you have to find a different target to sling mud, see, that's where people like myself kind of distance ourselves from the conversation, so to speak. Knicks will be 2025 and 2026 champs. Is in the building. Salute. If you're a Republican and your entire strategy was to sling mud at Joe Biden because he's older, and now that Joe Biden is not there, you have to find something to do with the mud that you were going to sling, then that's a you issue. Wiz BKLA is in the building. Salute. If you were just preparing for mudslinging and now the target has changed, your strategy was flawed from the beginning. A general election should be about policy and track record. And if your policy and your track record don't stand up, then you have to improve your policy and your track record. If you're a Republican today, then I think you might be in a weird place also. Your candidate just survived an assassination attempt. And some of the things that some of the tenets of most Americans is the right to bear arms, but to what extent? The right to bear arms, but to what extent? Um, we're seeing now gun violence at its highest level when there's an assassination attempt on a former president. There's something to be said to that. Maybe that needs to be addressed. And not in a conventional sense with mental illness and things of that sort, because I understand that mental illness is a real thing. But sometimes people just get angry. I think there's a line between anger and frustration and mental illness. I stumped my toe the other night trying to walk to the bathroom in the dark, and I was frustrated and angry, but not so much where I choose violence. There are a lot of major issues in this country. Our educational system is weird. So Nick says Republicans are looking at Trump as a conquering hero and for Biden to drop out a week later. Mm, yeah, I absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. These are facts. These are facts. Republicans are looking at Trump as an assassination attempt survivor, and a week later, sitting President Joe Biden drops out of the presidential race after a bout with COVID. Joe Biden looked weak and feeble. And I'm not saying I'm not and trust me, I'm the most frustrating voter you're ever going to see in your life. Like, I'm not advocating for Democrats or Republicans, right? I'm not an independent either, because independent means that you're still in a group. I don't want to be in a group. I don't want to vote as a group. I want to vote as someone that has certain convictions and certain topics and things that I believe in that I need to see be brought to fruition. For instance, I want to see the cost of I think pharmaceutical companies are a runaway train. I think big pharma is a runaway train. I think big pharma, and I'm not trying to make enemies here with big pharma because they'll shut your channel down. Big pharma will sue you. So big pharma, if you watching, don't sue me. I don't have anything. What are you gonna get? Some potato chips? But big pharma, like the cost of medication and supplies and things of that sort, things that should be reasonable, are a runaway train. And maybe the price that's set forth by big pharma is not the issue. Maybe our salaries, maybe what we make is the issue. Maybe $280 for insulin per month is not unreasonable. Maybe that is reasonable. But maybe the fact that some people only get $1,200 a month or $1,400 a month, and then you have to pay $280 of it for insulin just to keep you alive, maybe that's the issue. Nick says the reason Trump lost in 2020 was because he lost 6% of the white vote. I don't think Harris has enough pull to snatch up that number from Trump this time. That may be the case. That may be the case in terms of the voting part. In terms of the voting part itself, that's probably that may be the case. I think that's a good case. I think that's a good case. I think there are certain issues though. I think big pharma is a runaway train, right? I think our educational system is a mess. You don't pay civil servants enough to care, right? You don't pay your police officers enough to care. You don't pay your school teachers enough to care. You don't pay your civil servants in general enough to care. Right? Once kids realize that police officers and school teachers don't make money, or you have to be in the job for 15 years to have a competitive salary, but you're paying back student loans. Why do it? Why be a school teacher? Why be a school teacher? I'm going to look up the number. I'm just going to look up the number, the average salary. Average salary for a first year school teacher in the US. Yeah, this is ridiculous. So I'm going to add this to the screen for you guys to watch, to see. And this is ridiculous when you see this number. As of July 15th, 2024, the average annual salary for a first year teacher in the United States is $46,590. That's ridiculous. This number is ridiculous. The average salary for a first year teacher in the United States. Now, mind you, these are the people teaching the future of the nation. These are the people molding and shaping the future of this country. The first year salary, and look at the range. And however, salaries can range from 35,000 to 96,000. Are you serious? So 46 is the average, but you may start with as little as $35,000 as a first year teacher in the United States of America. Jay Singh, what's good, bro? What are we really talking about? What are we really talking about when I'm sorry, yeah, I got the business. I have the business phones going at the same time, man. So for those that don't know, I'm kind of doing this in between calls and all that stuff. So thank y'all for rocking with me. So if you live in the South and you're a first year teacher, your starting salary may only be 35.5 as a first year school teacher. And we are out here talking about stuff that's not even. What are we doing out here? And this is all relevant, right? 96,000, 96,000. I imagine 96,000 is probably um, um, Connecticut private schools, right? Connecticut private schools, states with money and their private school system, they're probably starting their first year teachers with 96,000. And this still pennies compared to what everybody else makes. So it's all relative. So think $35,000 in a poor state like Mississippi, and think 96,000 in a reasonably wealthy state like Connecticut. Connecticut private schools. 35,000 in Mississippi public schools and 96,000 in Connecticut private schools, but the cost of living is probably still about the same. Both teachers would struggle. Justo11 is in the building. Justo says the job doesn't pay enough for the work. Exactly. It's one of those things where you're doing it for the love. These are the type things that I think our leaders and future leaders should consider. But when you're wealthy and when you're older, you're detached from putting a car seat in. See, Joe Biden doesn't have to put a car seat in a car and take his kid to 4K or whatever. President Donald Trump doesn't have to put a car seat in a car and wait in a school line and to drop off a 3-year-old. So they're detached from that. And Kamala Harris also detached from that. She don't have to do that. So and their detachment from these things, we don't speak about these things because that's not a part of their everyday life. The medical thing. So I get away from school, right? Well, you know what? I won't get away from school. I'll continue speaking about school and prices. The price for college. The price for college is out of hand. By the time you leave college, if you don't have a plan, if your parents wasn't in a place where they could plan for your education and you had to pay for it yourself when you left college and you graduated, you probably have what amounts to a mortgage to pay for your college education. Probably 220,000 if you count all your debt. You have a $200,000 debt that you have to pay. Start paying on your first day on the job. Say you're a school teacher making $35,000. You're talking about if $35,000 is their salary, they're not going to bring home $35,000. They're probably going to bring home about $27,000, $26,000, $25,000. Like, just because your salary says 35, you're not bringing all of that home. You're going to bring home about 27. And you're going to have a $220,000 college mortgage. And so you're looking at paying. I'm going to try to find the calculator, everybody. I hate to do this. I hate the calculator gymnastics, but in this case, where we're having a conversation, Jason Madden in the building. Jay, what's good, bro? If you're bringing home $27,000 a year because your salary is 35, right? You divide that by 12. You're bringing home $2,250 a month, and your student loan payment is $750. You have the rest of your month to live off $1,500 a month. Let me go back. Let me go back here. Let me go back here, because if you're bringing home 2250, you can't afford to pay $800 or $750, right? You'll probably pay $250, right? That leaves you with $2,000 for the rest of the month to live. Now, mind you, how long will it take you to pay $220,000 if you pay $250 a month? 220 divided by 250. That is 880 payments. So 880 divided by 12 months is 73 years. So it'll only take you 73 years to pay off 200, and it only take you 73.3 years to pay off your student loan debt. And we're talking about, and the wealthy are talking about giving tax breaks to the wealthy so that they can do trickle down economics. Well, the one thing we know about trickle down economics is it doesn't work. Trickle down economics doesn't work because the people that are doing the trickling, they don't always trickle. They don't always put money back into the source. They keep it for themselves. And do they have a right to? Absolutely. They have a right to. And Nick says $2,000 a month, that's poverty. That's absolutely it. And so you're talking about impoverished professionals teaching our children, or being the caretakers of our children and preparing them for the future. And so if you're a kid and you see Mrs. Smith is eating a peanut butter sandwich every day, and she's driving an old station wagon. Wiz, jump in right here and help me with this, Wiz, if you're still here. If you're watching Miss Smith eat a peanut butter sandwich for lunch every day and a banana and getting water to drink out of the water fountain, and her car breaks down on her maybe 4 times a year. So in a 8-month school year, her car is breaking down every other month. Why would you listen to Miss Smith? What can Miss Smith teach you if you're a kid? Now our kids are going to look towards social media, things of that sort, right? They'll make TikTok videos and make more than their school teacher makes. And some people call that entrepreneurship, right? Be an entrepreneur, make more than your teacher. But you all know how the money story goes, right? The person that makes the most money is the person that's listened to. It's the money, power, respect thing. We value the person that makes the most money with the most power, right? And a lot of times the person that makes the most money has the most power. Why should kids listen to a school teacher that makes or that brings home $2,000 a month when they can bring home $2,000 a month doing TikTok videos? Well, maybe the school teacher should do TikTok videos, right? Nah, there's certain limitations. You can't do that stuff. You have to be a representative of your school district. You work for the school district. There are certain things that are limiting you. And Jay says if you're doing anything in education, you must have an advanced degree. Right. So, okay. So if you have an advanced degree, you can tack on an additional 75,000. Listen, y'all preaching to the choir, right? About so if you want to get your master's degree and your doctorate and a project management affiliation with somebody like Michigan State, now you're talking about an additional $200,000, right? So now you're like $420,000 in the whole education wise to make an additional $15,000 a year in the first year. In the first year. Now, I'm not talking about tenured teachers. I'm not talking about the ones that are tenured. I'm not talking about the ones that are in 20 years, 25 years, right? Bro, hey, I'm telling you, man. This is the wave. So if your kid is 10 and he made $64,000 last year on making videos, he may have made more than what his teacher made, depending on where he lives, right? If you're in New York, a first year teacher may make $80,000 a year. If you're in New York, if you're in New York public schools, you're probably making 65 to $80,000 a year in New York public schools, something like that. First year teacher. Jay says, was gonna say tenured teachers make six figures in New York. I will always say the earlier you find out what you want to do, the better. Yeah. But I'm talking to but I'm speaking to because the ones that are tenured teachers, they already know what they want to do. They've been doing it. What I'm talking about is if you're 17 trying to figure out what you want to do with your life, you have systems in place where people tell you to do this, right? People tell you to do such and such, right? Because that's what you see. You go to school, you see a template, you see nice people in a profession. Is that what you want to do? Oh my goodness. Everybody, the average salary of a first-year police officer in the United States, $57,000. The average salary for a first-year police officer in Dallas, Texas is $57,000. I don't even have to speak to why $57,000 in the state of Texas. I don't even have to speak to that. We can go through the same thing that we spoke about with school teachers. It's the same principle. So police officers make a little bit more than first-year school teachers, but police officers deal with more stuff. Their lives legit are on the line every day. Every interaction with the public could be their last, could be someone else's last. And when you start them out at $57,000, yeah. And the reason why I went down this rabbit hole is not because I feel like those are the only issues. I feel like those are issues that get swept under the rug. Those are the issues that get swept under the rug. And then there are people in power that won't pay taxes. People in power that are immune to certain social norms because they're in a bubble. There are people in society that are so wealthy at this moment. They are so wealthy that they live in a different realization. They live in a different world than us. So everybody, that's all I have for right now. I love the fact that we can have these types of conversations and just chop it up, come through and talk. I appreciate everybody that came through and left comments. Thank you for making me and the world smarter by commenting. We appreciate that. Maybe the next time we get together, it'll be a few more of us here where we can exchange thoughts and ideas, suggestions. Appreciate y'all. We'll see if we can do this again in the near future. Hopefully. Again, thank you everybody for coming through, rocking with us. Peace, everybody.